So you guys wanted to know what happens when you throw some serious AI into the Bitcoin market.
Yeah, this is going to be good.
Well, bumping up because we found a Korean YouTuber who actually did it.
Ooh.
Threw 2 different AI models into the ring, gave him some real money to trade.
Real money?
Real money.
Wow.
OpenAI's O3 Mini and DeepSeek's R1.
Oh, I've heard of those. They're those large language models, right?
Those are them.
Interesting.
But we're not talking about, writing poems or code.
Right.
These AIs are straight up making buy and sell decisions.
Huh.
In the Bitcoin market, yeah.
That's not really what they were designed for.
Not at all.
Really pushing the boundaries there.
Exactly. So before we get to the results, and you will not believe what happened,
hey.
let's meet our contenders.
All right.
So in this corner, we've got O3 Mini.
Okay.
Smaller model, cloud-based.
Speedy.
Super fast. Yeah, it can handle a ton of data.
I mean, that's what it's known for.
And then we've got
Big data, yeah.
R1 over here.
Okay.
The YouTuber chose to run a pretty powerful version of R1.
How powerful are we talking?
32 billion parameters.
Oh, wow.
And get this, he ran it locally on a Mac Mini.
Really? A Mac Mini, not like a big server farm?
Nope, a Mac Mini.
Huh.
Which is pretty wild when you think about it.
Yeah, it is interesting. I wonder why he chose to do that.
Well, he explained it in his video. It's about
Okay.
testing its capabilities in a more resource-constrained environment.
Yeah, makes sense.
So both of these AIs, totally different setups, but both are being used for something they weren't really built for.
Yeah, it's all about how you adapt and
like real world.
perform in the real world.
Exactly. So here's the challenge. YouTuber sets up separate live trading accounts for each AI.
Whoa, live trading?
Live trading gives him 500.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's Korean won, but he doesn't specify.
Right.
And then he just lets them run.
For how long?
For a whole week.
Really?
Yeah. O3 Mini, it was, taking the more...
Taking its time.
Yeah, methodical approach.
Like an investor should.
Like making trades every 4 hours.
Okay, so a more like classic algorithmic trading strategy.
Yeah, actually looking for those trends.
Yeah, it's a bigger picture.
Not react to every little blip.
Right.
And you know what? It actually did better than just holding Bitcoin for that same period.
Seriously. So it actually made money.
Well, not quite. It did incur a small loss, but it was less than the market average.
So it still beat the market?
It did, yeah.
Wow, that's impressive for an AI that doesn't know anything about trading.
No prior experience.
Pretty cool.
All right, but now let's talk about R1.
Okay, the Mac Mini trader.
Yeah, this thing was making trades like every other minute.
What? Seriously? Every other minute?
Practically nonstop, yeah. Like a
That's insane.
caffeine-fueled day trader.
Yeah, like high-frequency trading, right.
That's what it is. Ton of analysis, reacting to every little fluctuation.
You'd think that would give it an edge, being able to react so quickly.
You would think so, but here's the twist. It lost way more money than O3.
Oh, no.
And even more than just holding Bitcoin.
Really?
Yeah, so much for speed, huh?
Wow, so it wasn't just about being fast. There's got to be more to it.
There's got to be more to it.
Yeah.
And that's what's so fascinating about this whole experiment, right? It shows that just having access to all this information and processing it quickly.
It's not enough.
It's not enough.
You need a good strategy.
You need a strategy. You need to know what you're doing, even in a crazy fast market like Bitcoin.
Yeah, and that makes me think, how do you even teach an AI to trade? Like, they're language models, right?
That's a great question, and that's where the human element comes in.
Okay, interesting.
Because remember, the YouTuber wasn't just sitting back watching this all happen.
Yeah.
He was actually tweaking the code, refining the strategies, like basically coaching these AIs.
Really? So even with all this advanced AI, there's still a human hand involved?
Yeah, it wasn't just set it and forget it.
Wow, that's fascinating. So it's like a collaboration between the human and the AI.
Exactly.
I'm really curious to hear more about how he actually did that.
Well, that's what we're going to dive into in the next part.
All right, can't wait.
We're going to look at the nitty-gritty, the code, the challenges.
All the behind-the-scenes stuff.
All of that.
This is great. I'm hooked.
Stick around. It's going to get even more interesting.
All right, ready.
All right, so we've got these 2 AIs duking it out in the Bitcoin market, but I'm really curious about the setup here.
Oh, yeah, the technical stuff.
Yeah, like how'd he actually connect these language models to a live trading platform?
Right. It's not like there's an app for that.
No, definitely not.
So this is where things get pretty interesting.
Okay, lay it on me.
He had to bridge the gap between these language models, which, they're all about understanding and generating text.
Right.
And the world of real-time financial data.
Yeah, that's 2 very different things.
Totally. So he had to write some custom code.
Of course, of course.
And he used something called APIs.
Yeah,
Application Programming Interfaces.
Okay, and what do those do?
Think of them like translators.
Okay.
They let different software systems talk to each other.
So like translating the language of AI to the language of Bitcoin.
Exactly. So through these APIs, the AIs could get real-time data from the market.
Okay, so they're plugged in, but What kind of data are they looking at? I mean, is it just the price of Bitcoin going up and down?
Oh, no, it's way more than that. It's like a whole buffet of information.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, so they're getting the current Bitcoin price, of course,
Right.
but also things like trading volume.
Trading volume, what's that?
Basically, how much Bitcoin is being bought and sold at any given moment.
So like the more buying, the higher the demand.
Exactly. And that can give you clues about market sentiment. Are people feeling bullish or bearish?
Makes sense. So it's not just about the price. It's also about how people are reacting to the price.
Yeah, it's like trying to read the mood of the market.
Okay, so price, volume, anything else?
Oh, yeah. He also gave them access to technical indicators.
Technical indicators, what are those?
They're kind of like mathematical formulas.
Oh, boy.
Based on past price and volume data.
Okay.
So things like moving averages, trend lines, stuff like that.
Okay, so basically they're looking for patterns in the data.
Exactly, trying to predict where the price might go next.
So these AIs are practically drowning in information.
Yeah, they are.
It's kind of mind-blowing that they can even process it all.
I know, right? And remember, R1 is doing all this on a Mac Mini.
Right, that little computer.
Which is pretty impressive considering the amount of data we're talking about.
Yeah, it's not what it has the same resources as a giant data center.
No, definitely not. So the YouTuber had to be super efficient with his code.
I bet, so that R1 could keep up with its, high-frequency trading strategy.
Exactly. It's all about optimization.
So it's like O3 is cruising along in a sports car and R1's trying to keep up on a bicycle.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Each with its own, strengths and weaknesses.
For sure. And then on top of all that, there were API limits to deal with.
API limits, what are those?
Basically, the financial platforms that provide the data,
Okay.
they put limits on how often you can request information.
Oh, so you can't just spam them with requests.
Right, so the YouTuber had to make sure his code didn't exceed those limits.
So it's like a delicate dance between getting enough data but not too much data.
Yeah, finding that sweet spot.
Wow, this is way more complex than I imagined.
Oh yeah, it's a real engineering challenge.
But I gotta say, it's pretty impressive that a YouTuber was able to pull all this off.
It really is. It shows how accessible this technology is becoming.
Right, it's not just for big tech companies anymore.
And what I think is really cool is how transparent he was about the whole process.
Oh yeah, he documented everything.
Yeah, he put it all on his YouTube channel, the code, the results, even the problems he ran into.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that kind of openness is really important, especially with AI. It helps build trust.
Absolutely. So we know how he connected the AIs and what data they were using. But the big question is, how do you actually teach a language model to think like a trader?
That's the million-dollar question right there.
Right. Like they're good at words, not numbers.
Yeah, and this is where prompting comes in.
Prompting.
Yeah, it's all about giving the AI a specific task or question in a way that guides its output.
So like giving it instructions.
Kind of, but it's more than that. It's like setting the stage for the AI.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So imagine you're an art teacher, and you give your students some materials and some instructions.
Okay.
You're guiding them, but you're also giving them the freedom to be creative.
So it's like you're shaping their thinking, but not dictating exactly what they should do.
Exactly. And the YouTuber did the same thing with the AIs.
So what kind of prompts did he give them?
Well, he tailored them to each AI's strengths and weaknesses.
Oh, interesting. So different prompts for O3 and R1.
Yeah, for O3, the prompt emphasized a more analytical and methodical approach.
So like encouraging it to think like a seasoned investor.
Exactly. Really consider all the angles before making a trade.
And what about R1, the speed demon?
For R1, the prompts were all about, speed and responsiveness.
What sense?
Encouraging it to react quickly to those tiny price changes.
But as we saw, speed didn't really translate to profits.
No, it didn't. It seems like O3's slower, more thoughtful approach actually worked better.
So it's not just about having the data, it's about knowing what to do with it.
Exactly. Having a strategy is key.
This is making me rethink my whole approach to decision-making. Maybe I need to be more like O3.
Less impulsive, more strategic.
Yeah, but before we get too philosophical, let's get to the results. Who actually came out on top?
All right, let's break it down and see what these AIs can teach us.
Okay, the moment of truth. Let's see who won this AI trading battle.
Yeah, who came out on top?
After a whole week of Bitcoin ups and downs, what happened?
Well, remember O3 Mini, our cloud-based strategist.
Yeah, the one taking its time every 4 hours.
Exactly. Like a chess player thinking each move through.
Not jumping at every little change.
Nope, it actually finished the week with a smaller loss.
Wait, really?
Yeah, compared to both R1 and just holding on to Bitcoin.
So it lost less money even though it was more careful.
That's right. It was still down a bit, but it did better than the average.
So ignoring the little blips and focusing on the big picture paid off?
Seems like it, yeah, like a seasoned investor would do.
Not getting spooked by every little dip.
Exactly. Keeping a cool head.
Okay, but what about R1, our speedy trader, how'd it do?
Not so well. It ended up with a much bigger loss.
Wow. Much bigger than O3.
Yeah, and even more than just holding Bitcoin.
So much for speed being everything.
Right. It's not just about being fast.
Why do you think R1 struggled so much? Was it making bad trades or what?
I think it was a few things. First, all those tiny price movements, it was reacting to everything.
Like trying to catch every wave?
Yeah, and every trade costs money. Those fees add up.
Death by a thousand cuts, kinda.
Exactly. And maybe R1's analysis wasn't deep enough. Remember, it was mostly focused on price and volume.
Maybe it didn't see the whole picture like O3 did.
Could be, yeah. And don't forget the human element. The YouTuber was helping them out.
Right, tweaking the code, giving advice.
Maybe O3 just got better guidance, while R1 was more on its own.
So even with these super smart AIs, humans still matter.
Absolutely. We're not obsolete yet.
It's like having a fancy calculator. It can help you, but you still need to know what to calculate.
Exactly. It's a tool, not a replacement.
I think this whole experiment has a lot of lessons for us, even if we're not into Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like what?
Well, first, don't get overwhelmed by all the information out there. Be like O3, focus on what matters.
Filter out the noise, right?
Exactly. And second, think things through, have a plan, don't just react to everything.
Be strategic, like O3.
Yeah, and lastly, even with amazing AI, we humans still need to be in charge, making sure it's used right.
Guiding it, keeping an eye on things.
It's like a powerful car. It can take you places, but you're the one driving.
That's a great analogy.
This whole deep dive into AI trading has been fascinating, and it really makes you think.
Yeah, about how we make decisions, how we handle information.
It's definitely given me a lot to chew on. Thanks for breaking it all down.
No problem. Glad you found it interesting.
And who knows what the future holds for AI, right? It's constantly evolving.
Definitely. Exciting times ahead.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us on this wild dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive into something amazing. Until then, stay curious.